So a couple weeks ago, I was at my friend's birthday party. A friend from college. It was a cowboy themed birthday party. It's probably like a week before October ends, and I'm in the line waiting to get my food, and a girl behind me is like, "Oh, I really enjoy your videos. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You're motivating people, etc., etc." And I was telling her how I haven't really felt motivated in like weeks to record anything. It was like, oh, even if one person sees the video, that's enough. Like you've helped one person out. And I really thought to myself, wow, like I put forth this whole idea of I want to motivate people, I want to build community, etc., etc. I never really taken when people say the same things I say to them to me. And I don't know where that comes from, but I never really like acknowledge or not really. I don't really get it a lot, anyways. But I never really acknowledge it when it comes to me. I just kind of take it like, whatever. But that statement that lady made actually really helped me because in the following weeks, I think I recorded like 15 or so videos just across different platforms. And I wonder if I would have felt as motivated to do that if I didn't get like that encouragement or that. And I'm not saying like everything you do in life should be motivated by what others do or what others say to you. But sometimes when you're feeling down or you're feeling unmotivated, one person's statement is usually people that aren't even like close to you, like a stranger or somebody just in passing that says something to you, that really just makes the most impact sometimes because people that are around you, they're supposed to love you, they're supposed to support you, they're supposed to tell you all these positive things. So when you hear it a lot, it doesn't, like, yeah, it impacts your life. Yes, you feel good. Yes, you feel, better when you hear it. But when people that don't owe you anything say those kind of things to you, it sounds a little bit different, right? And I think so many people downplay the impact that they have on people's lives. Maybe just in the way that they behave, in the way that they speak, the things that they say, things that they do, they kind of downplay their impact in people's lives. Like you just think, or you can just do whatever and people just, or say whatever and people will just move on with their lives. Like, no, the most smallest interactions with the most random people, strangers, can really make or break someone's day, week, month, year, life. I've heard so many stories about people that would say, when I was in the 5th grade, this person did this, or this person said this, or my teacher in the 9th grade said I was going to be this, I was going to be that, and it stuck with them their entire life. So the smallest things from people that you might not even think are important in your life can really make a big difference. And I think people need to start recognizing their impact. I don't know if it's a thing of you don't think you're an impactful person, or you don't think anybody cares what you have to say, or you don't have an influence on the world or anything. But so many people just think they live their lives for themselves. They live their lives, and only their life is impacted by the actions of their words, whether positive or negatively. And maybe it's a symptom of like our age, right? Or just this generation, or just the US in general. Like it's a very individualistic kind of society where people just do their own thing, they work for their own thing, and they don't really worry about anybody else. They don't worry about what anybody else has going on. They don't worry about community or building community or anything. It's just, what is my family and me doing? What am my family doing? And I've over the years I've realized how important it is, no matter how small, just to have a positive interaction with people every single day. And I used to be one of those people, like when I was in high school or when I was as a kid in general, if I was in a bad mood, like I don't care who else is in a bad mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm ruining everybody's day. Not even intentionally, just I'm going about my day. I'm not smiling. I'm not as eager to open the door for someone or hold the door for someone. I just let my bad days kind of affect everybody else's day, right? And yes, for me, I might get over whatever issue I have the next day, but that like sour moment or that sour behavior of me in that moment can impact somebody's like entire day or entire week. Whenever you get angry, whenever you get upset and you say something out of anger or you say something out of frustration or whatever, and then it carries on to the person that you said it to, and then you're just fine like the next day. This is such a big thing I have an issue with, especially with with the younger people, right? People my age, around my age, that I interact with, is like whatever action, whatever decision I make, I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter who it affects. It doesn't matter who it hurts. I'm fine with the consequences. And it bothers me so much that people like think that way. People think that they can just do whatever they want and nobody else will be impacted by it, or nobody else will be affected by it. We offend so many people on a daily basis that we don't even realize like how many people we've offended along the way. And one of the things I'm trying to work on now is just being able to understand every action that I take when in regards to somebody else. Like every decision I make with somebody else, I try to like think, okay, what will this actually do to this person's day or their life? If I'm, dating somebody, or I'm in a relationship with somebody, every little action that can affect their life, I'm really thinking about it. Okay, what would this do to them if I did this thing, if I say this thing, how would they react? How would they? And I think I give a lot of credit to actually both my parents. My parents are very like intentional people. They're very thoughtful in the way they like deal with people, deal with situations, right? And my siblings are kind of the same way. They're very intentional with how they deal with things. They think things through a lot, right? And it comes from my parents. My parents really, really taught me, especially in the last couple of years, where when you get older, you start talking to your parents more as, like friends. You don't really, they're still your parents, but they're more of like, you're an adult now, so you can talk to them, relate with them on an adult level. And one of the things my mom always says is, always, always, always think about how you treat women. Like, not that I was treating women terribly, but just think about how you treat and talk to women. Be kind with them, be gentle with them. And it's helped me a lot in relationships, but also just in friendships, also in work relationships, also in just any kind of relationship or conversation or interaction I have on a daily basis. Right? Because if I'm thinking with the woman I'm dating, I'm thinking about how I can be so like tender and loving and caring, all these words. When I transfer that to just dealing with people, how I can be tender and caring to loving to just a general population, it's helped me in my relationships with people, helped me in my relationships in work. Like, I feel so much more comfortable with people. I feel so much more comfortable talking to people, understanding people, realizing the impact that my actions will have on people's lives. And people always think, oh, it doesn't matter. If I go about my day, I do this, I say this, it will just be fine, right? But so many of us, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, we've made somebody cry at night. We've made somebody like doubt themselves. We've made so many people contemplate doing things to themselves, and we don't even realize it. One of the biggest things in the last maybe 2-3 years that I've really kind of researched or just like looked into or anything like that is something called heartbreak. I don't know why I said something called heartbreak, like you don't know what that is. But heartbreak or heartache, the amount of pain that so many people have experienced and haven't recovered from, whether it be because the person that hurt them never said they were sorry, or they never meant that they were sorry, whether it's just feeling like the person that you cared about or that you loved didn't feel the same way about you, didn't love you, didn't care about you. So many people carry the weight of just heartache, just pain over the years, and they become like numb to it. That's why you see like relationships, people talk about, I don't really care about relationships anymore. I don't want to date. I don't care about meeting anybody new. I'm tired of the dating pool. I'm tired of the dating experience. It's because of the overall topic of this video. We don't realize the impact that we have on people's lives. We don't realize that what we do, that we might not even be thinking about the other person. We might not be thinking about how it'll affect or hurt somebody else. We just do it because, it feels good, or because we're only thinking about ourselves. And people carry that weight for years. Somebody has been hurt by their ex 10 years ago. They still carry that weight. And you might say, you got to move on. Like, love yourself. Yes, all that stuff is cool and great in theory. But until you realize how many people are actually carrying some kind of childhood trauma, some kind of, they were bullied in school, their parents, were abusive to them. Their parents didn't love on them the way you should love on a child. You realize how many people are carrying the actions of other people on their lives for years. And then you meet them and it seems like, oh, why is this person so mean to me? Why is this person so vindictive, or they're so hurtful, or they're so this and that? They're carrying the kind of pain that you probably have never experienced or understood. Now, when they meet you and they transfer that to you, and now you're like, why did this person do this to me? Why is this person behaving this way to me? Now you have that same kind of pain. If you don't deal with that, or if you don't figure out a way to move past it without, if they apologize or they don't apologize, then you run the risk of now transferring that to somebody else. And that's the place we're in right now, where there's so many people hurt by something that happened. It could be years ago. They've been hurt by it and they're carrying it day by day. Yes, they're going through their day. They're working. They're going to school. They're going to the gym. They look social. They're having fun with everybody at parties every week. They seem like they're doing perfectly fine, but you don't really understand what's going on beneath the surface, right? Until you start to peel back those layers and you see the kind of damage that has been done to some people, or the kind of trauma that some people have experienced, and you realize, wow, this person has suffered or been dealing with this thing for 5-10 years, and it's all the actions of maybe one or two people. And then you realize how important and how much you have to kind of guard people's emotions, how much you have to kind of guard how you speak to people, or how you treat people, or how you talk about people, right? So many people will spread a rumor, or say something in gossip and passing, and they just think, oh, it's just funny in this moment. And then you realize how many people, how that person will be affected by that action, or those words that you said. Remember, I watched a show called 13 Reasons Why, maybe like 4 years ago. And I watched that show, and yes, at the moment, it seemed like it was exaggerative. Like, it seemed like it was, these people, they're doing too much. They're just trying to make this like cool for social media, cool for TV. But then when I really thought about my high school years, I thought to myself, wow, this is the kind of things that happen in high school. These are the kind of things that happen in college. These are the kind of things that people deal with and have to carry the weight of other people's actions against them for years. This is how one person's actions against somebody else can influence so many lives in a negative or positive way. And we don't really think that. I'm sure when you're a kid or when you're a teenager, you never think about that. You never think about how one person's actions influence somebody else's actions. Like, you getting bullied in school, turning you into a vindictive or angry person, and then you date a woman, you hurt her, she dates a man, she hurts him, you become a bully yourself. Like, one person's actions has turned into 10 people being hurt in one way or the other, and nobody. Well, no, I won't say nobody, but we never really dive deep into it. And one of the things that I've really thought about focusing more on is when I was in college. I've said this in a couple of videos in the past, but when I was in college, I used to, go to schools and talk to kids and tutor and mentor and all this kind of stuff. I really thought about getting back into that because I see how so many kids these days are going through things. And when I was a kid, I never understood what anyone was going through because I was only worried about my life and, my family and etc., my education. I never saw what kids were going through. But now, as I've grown older and I've kind of experienced the adolescence period, I see kids and it's almost like I can see what's wrong with them. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put it into words specifically, but I can see what's kind of wrong with them. Like, what, not wrong with them, but I can see what they're going through, rather. I can see maybe it's, some people are their self-esteem is so, severely hurt. Maybe because their parents treat them poorly, their parents talk down on them. Maybe because they're getting bullied in school. People are saying, oh, you can't dress, or you're ugly, you're fat, you're this, you're that. Their self-esteem is so down. I don't know what other word to use, but down. And that's one of the biggest things with kids I see today is just their self-esteem is down. They don't believe in themselves. They don't think they're capable of anything. They don't think they can be anything. And it all comes from other people saying it to them. No kid wakes up one day and just like, yeah, I'm never going to be anything in my life. Like, you have to hear it from somewhere else. You have to have people that maybe you look up to or they have an influence on your life. They have to put that into you. So I hear other kids who are like, I'm going to be the president of the United States. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be. The only reason they believe those things is because people have given that belief to them. You don't just wake up and, kids have to be influenced to think these things. And yeah, that's why I want to kind of just go back into that space of talking to kids, mentoring kids, tutoring kids, talking to them about the future, talking to them about how they can be something, talking to them about how, because I feel like once I do that, or once other people around my age, especially around my age, do that, you can have so much of an impact on kids' lives. Specifically, I remember one kid, this is probably like 2018, 2019. It was a middle school student. And, I went there during, in between my class periods. And I went there and I was going there like on a weekly basis. So the kids started to kind of know who I was. I went there. One of these days, I just went with the kid, with this young boy, and we just walked around the school. And I was talking to him, and he was telling me about his home life. He was telling me about how he's been abused, and I'm thinking about all these things. I'm like, in all my years, even to this day, I haven't experienced half what this kid has experienced, and he has to go to school every day and put on a smile and like all the things that people have done in his life that have impacted him and brought him to that point. Even me, I was emotional just listening to it. I lost motivation listening to it, if that makes sense. I'm thinking to myself, if this was me, how could I even recover? How could I move past what I've experienced? How can I look at life with a positive lens? And there's a lot of people like that in the world that have just experienced things at the hands of others, experienced heartache, trauma, heartbreak, whatever, and they're just carrying that weight year on year on year on, and they have no kind of outlet, no release, nobody really to talk to. Be that person for somebody. I'm not saying you're a therapist, but just be a kind individual to somebody every day that you can, because you never know who it might impact. You never know who it might change their life. You never know who it might motivate them to look at life with a positive lens, or prevent them from doing something that they otherwise would have done. So never ever downplay your impact in people's lives. No matter how irrelevant you might think you are in their life, no matter how little you might know them, there's always a way you can positively impact somebody's life every single day. So just take that into consideration and have a blessed day. God bless.